Hey guys, hope you're all well. Right, I've got my book at the ready. Let me tell you a story about a fat bloke in a shed and a high maintenance German lady. She's supposed to be up for a bit of adventure though. We'll see. Right, I've been putting a list together as and when I remembered things, because I am constantly forgetting, as you know. I'm at that age. And for those of you who thought maybe this is, it's getting fairly close to completion, it's got to be. This book tells a different story. Yeah, as I was remembering stuff, this list just got longer and longer and longer. Anyway, I thought you'd be interested in, well, yeah, my list in this book basically. It's just a little bit of a catch up and to let you guys know where we are and what we've got to do. So this is in no particular order whatsoever. It's just as I remembered stuff. It's a mix of things that have got to be bought and things that have got to be done. Like I say, in no particular order at all. Starting with, I don't know why I remembered that first, but I did. Probably because I've been working on the back end. It'd help if I put some eyes on, wouldn't it? That might help me. There we go. I can see. Starting with number plate, as in the number plate. Obviously we've done all the back end and I've got to order the number plate. I've literally wrote pretty much everything here that I can remember, everything that's got to be got, because it's got to be done. So rear number plate, rear tyre, I've got that covered. Heated grips, footrest. Now I think I spoke about the footrest. These are really, really narrow, and I have done a bit of a test ride off-road with this bike, and there's certain parts of off-roading where you have to stand up, and when you've stood on these pegs for a while, they're like standing on razor blades. So I want some nice wide pegs, preferably with a rubber insert that is removable, that sort of thing. We'll see. What else have we got? Luggage bags. I'm going to need them to know how I've got to make my bars to keep the luggage bags from flapping around, hitting the exhaust, going into the back wheel, stuff like that. I'm hoping with the way I'm doing the bike, I'm going to have fairly small luggage bags. We'll see how that works out. Yeah, I've got luggage bag frames after that. Exhaust clamps. I think I've got is it 1, 2, 3 or 4 of the decent Michelor exhaust clamps, all stainless. I don't want the ones where they are stainless and then there's just the normal steel bolt in them that always goes rusty and seizes up. I want the full stainless ones. Are they W4 or something like that? So yeah, I've got to get, I'm sure it's 4 anyway. Yeah, exhaust clamps. A complete service kit, which has got to be done. Oils, filters, spark plugs, and whatever else it could possibly need to go through it for a full service. Fit Speedo. I know we've got the CarPlay on there, which also has a Speedo, but I wanted something on the bike that also logged the mileage, and we've got what we call the idiot lights, the oil pressure and stuff like that, the I-beam to let you know your I-beam's on and all that stuff, so you ain't blinding oncoming vehicles. So yeah, that's to go on. Where are we? Speedo. Oh, obviously the M unit. I'd like to get anything electrical on the bike first before I tackle the M unit. We've already got the M unit, so everything, when I've decided everything that's going on the bike, then I'll do all the wiring for the M unit, which will include the Speedo and everything. Side stand. As you know, we've took all the bits off the side stand that won't allow you to start the bike. Hopefully I do remember to put the side stand up, because it will no longer cut out. So yeah, I have literally found the side stand today. Let's have a look at that. I don't think somebody has had a beautiful attempt at repairing this. Remember I had this trouble with the XT660 size stand that someone done a great repair on? Well, I've got it with the BMW as well. I do not know what they were thinking, but I don't know if you can see that big bit of chewed up toffee all round there. It's obviously rotted and failed at some point, and that's the repair. It's not even straight. You imagine the tubes have been welded together like that. Which is fair enough. It obviously worked and got somebody out of trouble at the time. So yeah, I thought, you know what, I might just get a new one. You got to be joking. The second-hand side stands I was seeing on eBay were like 120 quid for that. I'm repairing that one, so that'll be a little job in itself. We'll get all this off that somebody's done, and we'll probably make inserts for the stand and do it all nice, get it all proper and nice and tidy. So that's got to be done. And then obviously springs. This would have had 2 springs originally. I'll see if I can get away with 1 strong spring. It's quite a weighty stand actually, so that's got to be done. Right, where are we now? Side stand. The headlight brace. I've been going on about that for a while, but it's a job that's got to be done. The top brace for the headlight, obviously we've got the mounting point at the bottom, and we've got to do an adjustable brace at the top, so I've still got adjustment in the headlight. So it'd be basically 2 slotted brackets that will line up and give me a certain amount of movement. We'll figure that out. It's a fairly simple job. Locate the seat catch, which I haven't done yet. Again, I may have to do something with the cable on that so it still remains relaxed, so it works nicely and doesn't go all notchy and locks up and sticks out and things like that. So I may be messing about with the length of the cable on that, but we've got to relocate it. I guess it'd be somewhere similar to where it was, but it may need shortening. I don't know yet. I've not even thought about that. Steering stops. So on the frame that sits under this tank, we've got to find a way of doing the steering lock stops so we don't have the forks smashing into the fuel tank. Again, that's probably a simple job. I may have to get some rubber ends for them so it ain't sort of 2 hard metals colliding with each other and damaging the forks. I really don't want to damage the forks. So that's got to be looked into, but they'll just be somewhat simple coming off the frame. What else? Towing eye. Now then, I got this idea from my friend's XT660 Tenere, however you like to pronounce that name, I don't know. Yeah, they have a towing eye on, which, fantastic idea. Absolutely fantastic idea. I do like the saying, if you got it, you won't need it. So if I put one on, I won't need towing out from a ditch, hopefully, fingers crossed. So yeah, basically that'll be mounted central straight through the middle of the forks onto our main frame. So if it did need towing along, let's say you had a major breakdown in the middle of nowhere, at least you can get it strapped to your mate's bike or whatever, and you can get towed out of there to civilization and hopefully get something sorted. So for the sake of a bit of metal work there, I'm going to put a towing eye on it. So it's got to pull central through the bike. You can't have it to one side because, yeah, it's obviously a dodgy thing to do anyway on a bike, but I think it's a great idea. It's better than pushing it. And you could be in an area where you have no phone signal. That's quite possible. So all these things could get you out of trouble. Spotlight bar. Now I am going to put spotlights on it. One, they look great. Well, I think they do on an adventure style bike. And 2, let's say if your headlight fails or something ridiculous like that, at least you're still got forward facing lights on the bike. You won't need to use them all the time. I have no idea how bright this new headlight's going to be, by the way. I've never put it to any power. I do not know. It might be rubbish, and then spotlights will be a bonus. But also, let's say you do have an headlight failure. There's a little bit of a backup there. at the end of the day, if your rear light goes, then whoever you're travelling with goes rear gunner then and follows you. So there's a tail light on the behind you. Battery, that is complete toast, as you've seen in the. Am I going to put that video out first? I don't know yet. This video might go out before the one I've got ready. We'll see. Anyway, the battery's totaled. It won't even take a charge, which I kind of knew. It's been stood around for many years. I have used it on and off for other things. I used it in the van for some lights and stuff like that and recharged it, but it just wasn't enough to save it. So partly my fault, that one is. I should have put it on an Optimate and left it. So yeah, battery's got to be got, but it's got to be the correct one for this bike because I've made the battery box to that size. I've got to finish the auxiliary fuel tank brackets because I broke them off because I wasn't happy with them, so they've got to be done. Front indicators, as you know, we've got all 4 indicators that match, but the same as what we've put on the rear. Then Suzuki replica, I think they're for like the Gen 1 GSX S, because I was talking to my mate down in New Zealand the other day. We do that video thing now and again. With his being the later one, his indicators are different, but I think they're probably a copy of the first gen GSX S. Very nice bike too. I do like them. I do like Suzuki's. Where are we? Front indicators. Side panels. This great big void that we've got here. As you know, we're doing little panels there, and on the other side we're going to have bags. Yeah, there may be sort of a little change of idea there. It's only a change of idea as well, because I haven't really made anything for this side, but you'll see what that is. I think it'll be beneficial to the bike. So side panels. I've got back wheel question mark. Now, the back wheel's quite rough, I will say that. The front wheel's like a brand new one. That's got all stainless spokes in it. But the back wheel, I have spotted one on eBay. I think I may have this wrong, but I think probably the Adventurer model of this, the one with the bigger tank and everything, had black wheel rims. And now and again you do get them wheels pop up on eBay, but they cost a fortune. I think the cheapest one I've ever seen is like £150. At the end of the day, that's not stopping the bike, but I've put a question mark on it. If something is possible to do that and get that tidy, I will do it. But for now, that might just get a bit of a blast over, a rub down, mask off, and a coat of black paint with a rattle can, just to make it a little bit more presentable. I know it's not going to be long lasting, but yeah, it'll make it look a bit better for a while. We'll see how that goes. Also as well, you know, the guys who've probably watched this channel for a long time may remember the absolute nightmare I had relacing that front wheel. Well, the lacing was easy, it was the truing up. And I said, never ever again will I attempt that. There's even, well, majority of wheel building companies throughout this country will turn them wheels away. They will not touch them, and the ones that do, I have heard they charge an absolute premium to true the wheels up. But now I'm thinking, maybe when, you know, the time's right, at least the bike, it's not immobilised, it's got a back wheel, it goes round and round, it works, but maybe I should have another attempt at it. So if in fact, if I actually found a really cheap normal wheel like that, alloy coloured wheel, silver, that's cheap enough, that's really rough, maybe I'll get it, cut all the spokes out, get the hub and the rims all powder coated, buy a set of spokes, and see if I can crack the mystery of these spoke wheels. Nobody seems to know what it is. But I couldn't believe it. I thought, spoke wheel, I'll get. I've laced loads of wheels up, absolutely loads of them over time, but these have got some sort of mystery code to true them up that nobody seems to know. The front one happened by total accident in the end. I still don't know how I got it right, but I did. So maybe I'll have another go at the back wheel at some point if I do get a spare. At least that one works at the minute, and I'm not sort of delaying the project and taking the bike off the road. So if I got a spare, as and when I can, and messed about with it in my own time. That's why I put a question mark by the back wheel. Anyway, there's things that I've got to check condition on when I get to the stage where we completely pulling the bike apart, as in all the frame off and everything, the front end out, ready to weld all the frame up. I will be going over the engine and checking stuff like the starter motor. The starter motors can be a bit odd on these. I mean, this bike's, it's a 70,000 mile bike. A friend of mine who had one of these, he had his starter motor rebuilt, and it wasn't a great deal. I mean, it's probably a little bit more now, but back at the time it was 30 quid for a company in Birmingham, and he said it made a massive difference. But I don't know, this one seems all right, but I'll check over it all. The alternator, again, is that been on the bike since new, 70,000 mile? Is it worth just replacing? I don't know. Again, we'll check that. We'll get the meter on it, see if it's punching loads of charges into the battery. When we get a new battery, we'll check all that. Clutch, definitely, probably needs replacing. I will check the wear limits on it. I will pull it apart and have a look at it, because while I've got it apart, I may as well probably just replace it, to be honest, and then we're safe, and then I won't have to pull all this bike apart again. All the rear drive, the final drive on this bike, all needs checking over. It's all seals checking. May as well probably replace them, oils and everything throughout the whole bike. So that's got to be checked when we get to that stage, all them things, and along with other stuff while I'm on the engine. Engine paint, as you know, I'm not going too fancy with this bike no more. A bit of a cutting corners, bodging, whatever you wish to call it. I'm trying to keep the cost down, so I will get some decent engine paint, and I will get a wrinkle finish black paint. So I'd like it black. I think the idea is blue frame, white bodywork, black engine. Sort of modernise the bike a little bit, and I know for a fact with the wrinkle finish black, it's quite good at hiding a few dodgy bits on the, you know, it's an old engine, it's rough. When you get close to it, it's quite rough, but I will spend a lot of time on that, cleaning it all up, and we'll rattle can it, and then hopefully it'll come out looking a lot better. I've got to get myself a new pot of Loctite. Mine's been around for many years. It's been left with the lid off and everything like that, so I'm just going to get a nice little tub of Loctite, because I will be going through every single fastener when we're putting this bike back together. Remote terminals, did I show you them? I can't remember. Anyway, I've got some remote terminals because to get to the battery on this bike, it's literally got to loosen all the tank off, lift the tank up and everything. The battery's more or less where it was in its previous life. So rather than do all that, if you do have a flat battery situation, or you know, Matt does or whatever, wherever we're traveling, and we can just put the jump leads onto some remote terminals, I shall mount them on a bit of composite material which is bolted to the frame, so if the terminal's worn or whatever, it's not metal. You ain't got a live touching metal. They'll be on a little carbon fibre panel or whatever I decide to put them on. So yeah, they've got to be fitted. Where else are we? Did I do the first page? Yeah, getting lost where I am. Fit terminals. Spare coil. If you remember, did I go on about a spare? You have to bear with me. I forget what I say half the time. I think it's a fantastic idea. This basically stemmed from a conversation me and a friend was having about rally cars, like the older rally cars, where they'd have spares on them. like different accessories. If one failed, they could quickly plug a new one in because it'd be there in the engine bay ready. I was thinking that's a fantastic idea to do with this bike. It doesn't take up a great deal of room, so obviously we'll have the coil that's running the bike and a spare one bolted literally right by it. It's very, very remote chance of it failing, I know, but if it's there, again, going back to that thing, if you got it, you won't need it. So yeah, I really do want to do that. Put a spare coil mounted under the tank, so if it did fail, you just pull your leads off, put it onto the other one, and away you go. What else we got? Oh, I've just put assorted bags. Now, as I've said before, I'm trying to get this bike so it literally has everything on it and it stays on it. All my toolkits, my puncher kits, tyre inflators, all the usual stuff that I normally take on my travels that are going into panniers and bags everywhere. I would like to get several bags that are permanently mounted on this bike. You know, we're going to have the one on the other side, and you know, wherever I can put one basically that's got everything in what the bike needs. And then all I'm basically doing when we decide to go traveling, or even weekends where you just want to shoot off and go and have some time in the mountains and everything, you know, you just got to put a couple of clothes in a bag because the bike's already kitted out, ready to go. Got everything on it. You don't have to try and remember anything. You can't forget anything because it'll be on the bike. So yeah, I'm going to look into assortment of little bags, compartments and things like that. Probably some little side bags here and there. We'll see. I'm going to work that out as we go along and see what's out there on the old Bay of V and stuff like that. You know, even if just like little bags I can strap to things that I can put the odd little bits and bobs in. A couple of tools here and there and everywhere. Just spread them all throughout the bike. And like I say, all that's got to go in then is your clothes, basically. Disc spacers. So as you may be aware, this front end is Honda Africa Twin, but the front wheel is BMW, 21-inch BMW, and I had to space the disc. It's tiny, but at the minute, just for setting it up, it's spaced with washers, and I don't want that. I just want a decent full spacer, probably stainless steel or something like that. It's only a couple of mil, so I need to get a bag of spacers so it's all fitted nicely. I mean, you could get away without them, but it just puts the disc slightly off center in the caliper. It would work, but I want them in the center. I want even wear on my brakes and everything like that. So yes, they're getting spaced. So like I say, it's tiny. Oil cooler and lines is still got to be done. I've got an issue with the lines because they're not working where the cooler's got to live now, which is at the top at the front of the engine. So I've got to sort that out. I've got to see what I'm going to do with the cooler lines. I may just get a complete new line. It comes from a banjo down at the bottom of the engine, so I may just look at replacing the whole line, make it all like flexible, so I can put it straight into the cooler. On the other side of the cooler, it just comes straight off and goes straight into the top of the engine. So that's not too much bother. And obviously I've got to make the brackets to mount the cooler as well. So all that's got to be done. What else we got? Oil cooler lines. Oh, auxiliary power plugs. An absolute must when travelling, especially how me and Matthew travel. We don't do hotels, we don't do campsites, we are completely in the wild constantly. So charging stuff can be a bit of an issue. You know, all your power banks, I will carry as many power banks as I possibly can without it dragging the bike and dragging the engine on the floor. But I will, again, bags everywhere where I can put all these things. Half a dozen power banks or whatever, I don't know. I think I only got 2 or 3, but I'll have to get some more of them as well. So yeah, auxiliary power plugs, but I'll be getting the DIN plugs, the same as what's in the side casing down here, but I want them on a permanent live, or at least one of them on a permanent live, and probably a couple more scattered around the bike, so you can plug things in. I mean, you're able to plug stuff in while you are riding, and so it's charging while you're traveling. So I'm going to get a couple of them. They're better, and then because half of these USBs, direct to USB, half of them are rubbish. They are. So I'm going to get some decent DIN plugs where you can plug your USB socket into them. So yeah, a couple of them scattered around the bike. Paint stripper. Yes, so obviously I've already said I'm not having a really expensive paint job on the tank. I don't want to do that. I kind of want this bike a little bit rough and ready. I know I'm going to do it all right. I know I'm probably going to go over the top with a couple of things. I can't help myself, but I am cutting corners, no question. So I'm just going to have the tank powder coated. It's a nice sort of resilient surface, and it's a lot cheaper than someone spraying it. Spraying panels and tanks and things like that is very, very expensive. So I'm going to paint strip this because there's absolutely no way that fuel tank's going anywhere near any sort of shot blasting whatsoever. I've seen many a horror story with that, especially with this internal fuel pumps. It's just not a good idea. Just my opinion. You know, if you get your tank shot blasted, that's fair enough. But that stuff, you can mask all your holes up and everything like that, but that stuff gets everywhere and it can cause some monumental problems. I've had a friend that had a major problem with carburetors because of that. He got a tank blasted, and I've heard it a few times. So paint stripper. Yeah, I don't want it blasted. I don't want it anywhere near a blast room. It'd be stripped and then go straight into the powder coaters for a coat of powder. Horn. I've got the horn. I'm just going to put the old one back on it. Don't even know if it works, to be honest. It should do. I think it does. We'll do a little test on that before I do put it back on. That's already on a little bracket. I've just got to find somewhere to mount it. It would have been nice to have some great big double snail loud horns on it, but that one's there and it works. Spoke grub screws. I was quite shocked at the price of these things. Now, the front wheel, especially later BMW wheels, they're quite known for coming loose apparently, and I'm not sure if this was a like a bit of an update, an afterthought, but you can get these tiny little grub screws. So where your spoke comes through the wheel and goes into the nipple, and you screw that in, these grub screws go into the back of the nipple and basically lock against the spokes to stop them coming loose. I can't even remember how many spokes in that way. Is it 40 or 38 or something like that? I can't remember. But these tiny little grub screws for the spoke nipples, they're like £1.20 each. They're about that big. I was gobsmacked with that. Wow. But they've got to go on. I'd rather do that than have the chances of spokes coming loose. It has happened. This is why they done the grub screw thing. Dry brake connectors. I think I spoke about them before. Taking the fuel tank off this bike is a little bit of a fiddle with the fuel lines, because they go right into the side of the tank, into the pump and everything. It's a pain to get them off, especially if you've done them up with pipe fixings, the Jubilee clips or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it is a right fiddle. So I'd like to put some dry brake connectors on, so where you just twist them, bang, you come off and it shuts the fuel off, and it'll make it far easier. Because the last thing you want, say if you do have a problem in the middle of nowhere and the tank's got to come off and it's full of fuel, the last thing you want to be doing is losing all your fuel. That'll be a nightmare. You know, if the tank's full, there's no way apart from putting it completely upside down, then you don't know if it's all going to come out of the filler cap. So yeah, dry brake lines will stop that occurring and make it easier with getting the tank on and off for anything, any maintenance, cleaning or anything. Again, expensive, but it'll make life easier if the tank has to come off. Oh, the fuel tank panels, you know, we mentioned them panels right at the front of the tank as you're looking at the front of the bike where the tank sort of splays out each side of the forks. I'm going to fill that gap in a little bit with them panels. That'll be a nice, easy, enjoyable job. I'm looking forward to doing that actually, because I'm going to put a bit of a return on them so it ain't just a sharp edge of a piece of sheet metal. So yeah, we've got to do that both sides. It'll close that humongous gap up at the front of the tank and sort of reduce the chances of loads of debris going down there and going all into the top of the engine and everything. So that's got to be done. Where are we? Obviously welding all the frames up, everything's got to come off, all the subframe, the main frame that we've done that's under the tank, all that's got to be welded up. That's going to take quite a bit of time because I've got to still make gussets for all these. There'll be gussets going in certain places to add to the strength, especially with the main frame at the front. So that's going to be quite a time-consuming job, but obviously it's got to be done. We can't leave it tacked together. That won't last long. Probably snap in half like an Enfield Himalayan. The early ones, have I got that right? I've seen a few pictures then, front end snapped off. Welding framework. Oh, exhaust shield. Did I mention that when we was doing the exhaust on this? Oh, is that out of shot? I think it's out of shot. That bit we've just extended, I am going to put a bit of a shield there because at the end of the day it is right by your leg. So yeah, and it allied that not so good join. I still look at that join and think meh, but hey, it's done. So yeah, a little shield on that part of the exhaust, so that's got to be got and fitted. They just basically hose clamps and they fit on. Right, filter sock as well. So obviously we've got the main air filter. In the snorkel here, you can get filter socks. Oh, it looks like that's broke again. Does it? Oh no, it looks like it. Oh, we'll deal with that. Yeah, anyway, you can get filter socks that goes down this tube. It is literally like a sock to give you an extra bit of filtration. So I will be getting one of them because we could end up in some, yeah, slightly dusty terrain. Ignition switch, that's actually on the way. I'm hoping it's going to be okay. The one that we've been using was always going to be a temporary thing. It's rubbish, it's already broken. I think I've mentioned that before. It used to be on off, but now it goes click 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 click. So yeah, that's definitely not going on the bike. So I've bought a better quality one that's all in its own housing, all cased in with fixing eyelets. So we'll find a place for that when it arrives. Again, that's all at the front end. Electric fuel pump, not for this tank, for the auxiliary tank. If you remember how we've made that, there is an internal pipe going all the way to the bottom corner, and if we get just anything really, a little, you know, sometimes the old cars would have a little one on the inner wing, something like that, and I'll put it on a switch, and if we do need to get fuel out of there, I'll have a coiled up pipe under the seat, and then if I do need to get fuel out, the fuel pump will be on a switch. I'll uncoil the pipe, drop that into my main fuel tank and turn the pump on. That's what that's for. Probably as well, like the dirt bike ones as well, because they're quite small, aren't they? Them internal electric pumps. It's probably similar to what's in here. I don't know, I've never had the one out of this. Fuel tank gaskets for all that side of this tank, the fuel pump and everything, because obviously it's all got to come out for paint stripping and powder coating. So I'm going to have to get whatever's needed for that, O-rings, gaskets, seals of any description, so when it all gets built back together it's not going to leak fuel. And last on the list, and it probably isn't the last, this is all I've thought of so far, handguards. Handguard. So yeah, I want to put some just some aftermarket hand guards on there. It does protect your hands from debris if we do go on a bit of loose ground and your mate's in front roost the tail in you and stuff like that, stops your knuckles from getting smashed in. Those who know who have had that big rock smashing you in the hands, yeah, it makes you wince a little bit. And also, if it's cold as well, it does keep a bit of a direct cold breeze off your hands, especially if you've got nice toasty hand grips. It's only recently I've had hand grips, but in fact the S1000 was the very first bike I've had heated grips, sorry. And yeah, once you've had them, you don't want to be without them. I'd been out on a few cold trips on that and completely forgotten, then all of a sudden remembered, oh, I've got heated grips. Ah, it's one of them moments. Oh, brilliant. Your hands start coming alive again. Anyway, yeah, handguards. I'll probably just, like I say, it's more for cold air and keeping the odd bit of stuff smashing into your knuckles. So they haven't got to be like the bar busters or anything. It's just a decent guard of some description. So that's it so far. That's the story so far. So I've left my tea to go cold. As you can see now, we are quite a way off. So we normally travel in July. I know I was definitely being very, very over optimistic, saying, oh, it'd be nice to go and run this around the end of January. I can't see that happen. And also we've got this thing called Christmas in the way. I have grandchildren now, so I've got to go and do that. They're gonna want, well, they think this bloke in a big red coat brings them all the presents, but no, it's us adults that do all that. So I've got to go and spoil them as well. In fact, I wonder if I put my list in that book into Santa, some of that would turn up. I doubt it. In fact, no, it won't. I might get a pair of socks and not the filter sock either. I'd prefer the filter sock. No. Yeah, so obviously we've got Christmas in the way and we got to do all the family thing and all that, and that does take a good chunk out of finances and stuff, so there will be a bit of a delay there, but hey, it's got to be done and I'm looking forward to it immensely. Now the grandchildren are here, it does put a bit of sparkle back into Christmas again, so I am looking forward to that. Anyway, yeah, we just got to plod on, keep going. If anybody can think anything else that I may have missed out, drop it in the comments. I think I've more or less covered everything. Obviously there's still a lot of work to do and a fair bit of stuff to buy for us to continue with the project. So we'll just keep plodding. I'm going to work all the hours I can possibly stand up, because I'm going to need to, because this bike's got to be done, tested, to make sure it's all absolutely 100% tip-top before we embark on this monumental journey that we are talking about. Anyway, that'll do. Cheers for watching, guys. Take care.